two important terms when we're talking about the uncertainty of measurement are accuracy and precision, and it's important to distinguish between them. So a measurement is said to be precise if it yields very similar results when it was repeated in the same manner. So if you make a measurement several times and you get the same result, you would say that those measurements are precise. But just because you have precise measurements doesn't necessarily mean that they're close to the correct answer. That's where accuracy comes in. So a measurement is considered to be accurate if it yields a result that is very close to the true or accepted value. Of course, you have to know what the true or accepted value is to be able to assess whether or not your measurement was accurate. Let's look at a couple examples to clarify this some. Right, so we've got some dartboards here, and this is a very common way to talk about accuracy and precision. So a result is going to be accurate if you're hitting the bullseye. A result is going to be precise if you have a tight grouping. So in these examples, in this first one, right, all of the shots have hit the bullseye, and you have a very tight grouping. So because you've hit the bullseye, these results would be said to be accurate, and because you have a tight grouping, all of the measurements are similar to each other, we would also say that it's precise. Right, in this case, you have a tight grouping, so you have a precise measurement, but you're not close to the true or correct answer. So while you are precise in this case, you are not accurate. And in this case, you are neither close to the target value, so you're not accurate, and you don't have a tight grouping, so in this case, you're not accurate or precise. Okay, let's take a look at another example using numbers instead of the visual representation in the last example. So we're measuring out cough medicine, and the true value is 296 milliliters. I apologize, I used the wrong abbreviation here. I wrote megaliters instead of milliliters. 10 ounces would be 296 milliliters. And so we have a couple dispensers, and we want to know whether these dispensers are accurate, precise, or some combination of those two. So if I look at this first example, all of the results are pretty similar. I've got 283, 284, 283, 284, 284. And so the grouping is fairly tight. So I would probably say this result is precise, but we're not very close to the true value, 296. So I would say it's precise, but not accurate. In the second example, we're kind of clustered around 296. So 298, 294, 296, 297, 294 again. So we're kind of close to the right answer. So I would say we're accurate, but we don't have a very tight grouping. So in this case, I would say we're accurate, but not precise. And then in the third example, now we have a tight grouping. 296, 296, 296, 296, 296, and of course they're all close to the true answer, so I would say that this one that dispenser is accurate and precise. All right, so one other note that I wanted to make when we're talking about precision of measurements, oftentimes when we're thinking about how precise a measurement is or how precise an instrument is, if we can make that measurement out to more decimal places, to smaller decimal places, then we would say that measurement is more precise, or the instrument that's making those measurements is more precise. And very often making more precise measurements requires a lot of additional work and oftentimes can be much more time consuming or require much more expensive instruments. Just as an example with balances, this is typical of the balances that we have in the lab. We can measure the mass to the nearest thousandth of a gram, and the balances in the lab cost about $500. This particular balance, it is capable of making measurements to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 to the minus 7 grams. So it's much more precise. We can get much more precise mass measurements using this balance. In this case, using the two balances is fairly easy, but this balance that can make the much more precise measurements, as you can see, is incredibly more expensive. So very often, when you want to make more precise measurements requires more work, more time, or more expensive equipment.